Delighted to say we've got another former PNE manager on the podcast today. Alan Irvine's here. Alan, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. No, yeah, very good.
Can I say thank you as being a great manager, certainly during my time. Nice to get you on to hear some of those stories, how it was from your point of view. You are still the last Preston manager to get in the Championship playoffs. Yeah. We came close.
We did. It was a great group of lads to work with. I loved my time as manager at Preston. Was massively disappointed and shocked when I lost my job. And it's probably the biggest disappointment of my career, which, you know, I've had a few other disappointments, but that was the biggest one. I didn't see it coming. We were in a very similar position in the league to where we'd been at that stage the year before. I think we were probably 3 points off where we'd been at the same time the previous year. We had a game in hand over that, and that was Barnsley at home. So I just didn't see it coming, and when it did come, it came as a real shock, and as I say, a huge disappointment because I loved it at the club. You were a great group of lads to work with. I felt as if we'd kind of got over the shock of losing Kenna and Ledge in the pre-season, which was a big hole in the squad because obviously they were really important players, both in terms of the quality and of course Kenna in terms of leadership and so on as well. And the fans were brilliant with me. The staff in the club were great. It was just a lovely place to work, you know, and I'd hoped to work an awful lot longer at the club, but these things happen.
We'll touch on other parts of your time at Preston, but while we are talking about the day you lost your job, do you remember it? Because I was in your office asking you why you dropped me the game before, and I said, Gaffer, get me back in the team. What have I got to do to get back in the team? We must have spoke for 45 minutes, an hour, and we were both confident that the results would turn round. I'd get back to scoring goals because I hadn't been for that period of time. And by the time I'd driven home, which for me was 30 minutes from the training ground, it was on Sky Sports saying that you'd lost your job. And I was like, I've just been speaking to him. How is it? What has happened? Did the chairman come to the training ground? Was it a phone call?
No. I mean, I've got to say that Derek did it as well as it can be done. You know, it's never nice giving people bad news, whether that's a manager giving a player bad news that he's not in the team, or whether it's a chairman giving a manager bad news that he's just lost his job. So it's never easy, but I've always felt that the way to do it is to go and look people in the eye, whether you're the manager to the player or whether you're the chairman to the manager, look them in the eye and just tell them what you can. Derek came down completely out of the blue. I think I got a phone call from him just after you'd left, saying, where are you? Now, we'd played the night before against Sheffield United. I was in getting prepared for the next game, because as a manager, the last game's finished, you're moving on really quickly, and especially in like the Football League, where you've got another game coming very, very soon. Derek came in and sat in the office opposite. You know, we'd have sat in the same chair that you'd sat in, and suddenly said to me, "I'm afraid you've lost your job." And I asked him. I was taken aback, and I asked him why, and his honest answer was, "I don't know." I was in that situation where I'd done every coaching course that you could do, both in Scotland and in England. I'd had all this background as well, and I sat in the chair in the first day at Preston after 15 years and thought, wow, I wasn't expecting this. It's different. It's different. Until you've been the manager, you don't know.
I remember his first day. It was obviously Paul Simpson had just left. We were struggling a little bit in the league. Yeah. But from the very first session, the boys were having you. And I suppose as a coach, that is maybe what you need, that first session to sort of earn the trust of the players. That the intensity was there. You created an environment where players who weren't playing were thinking, right, I've got a chance to be playing here. It was just completely different. The training sessions were so enjoyable, and the quality was so good.
Yeah, I think, you know, as I said earlier, I demanding in terms of the way that I expect people to work, and that's the staff as well as the players. I mean, I inherited the staff at Preston that Simo had. I didn't have a staff to bring, so straight away Derek said to me when I was offered the job, "Will you work with the staff who are there?" And I said, "Yeah, as long as they can work in the way that I would want them to work. It will be hard. It will be long days. We will go into everything in great detail. We will plan everything, and so I expect that to kind of be done behind the scenes. And if you can do that behind the scenes, then the chances are that it transfers onto the training ground and into the squad. So you set the examples as set the bar as high as you can. Now, Simo's a really good manager, and I certainly would not criticise anything that he's done. I don't know what the difference was, but I know how I wanted to work, and you have to make an impression from the first minute and the first day. There's a lot of planning goes into that day. And again, you said about everybody having a chance. They did. Everybody did have a chance, so it wasn't me kind of having to create something that was false.
We did go bottom of the table, though, if you remember. New
Yeah.
Year's Day, Sheffield Wednesday away. They were struggling as well at the time. It was 1-1. Get the subs on. Me and Andy Carroll come on across the ball. Big three-man misses his chance. 30 seconds later, Sheffield Wednesday go and get the win. I remember doing the warm-down on the pitch after, and it was a real sort of realisation. Lads, we're in a relegation fight here. Yeah. And at no point did we sort of think that. We'd been close to the playoffs the year before under Simo, and it was a case of, cool, we've got to really roll our sleeves up there. And for you, at that time, what was it like as the manager?
Well, obviously, I felt as if there were good signs in terms of what was happening in the training ground, but you're quite right. The results weren't good enough. I think it was something like 3 wins in my first 10 games. I don't know if you remember, but we had a meeting because I didn't want us sleepwalking into relegation, and we had a meeting around that point where I think we had 18 games to go, and we needed to win 9 of them in order to stay up. And I remember as I looked at all the stats from the previous years, and said that to everybody in a presentation, and said, okay, now how are we going to get these 9 wins out of 18 games? Amazingly, we got 9 wins in 14. So 4 games to go, we were safe. And that was fantastic, and obviously a real kind of platform on which to build for the next year, which ended up being the playoff season.
You finished 15th in that season when you came in. Was there a turning point? Was it that meeting? Or was there a particular moment or a game where you felt this is the moment that things have turned around and we're going to survive?
I always feel it's really important that people realise the danger that might just be lurking, and they know that as early as possible. Now, I didn't feel that it was a great time to do it when I first came in, but I felt as if it was essential after the game that Mel's has just talked about, that we needed to really know that, hold on, we are in serious trouble here. And that's not just because I'm saying it, because it's, I'm trying to get a reaction from that point of view. I'll show you the facts. And the facts are that you need the same points each year, roughly the same points to stay up. You need the same points to get in the playoffs. You need the same points to get automatic promotion. And you'll never be too far away from that. It's amazing, year after year after year. You even think this season about how Leicester went running away with it, looked like they're going to have all done and dusted months before the end of the season, and then, like everybody in the Championship, you hit a difficult spell, and it's a streaks league. It's a league where you can go win, and then lose, and you're thinking, as a manager, I can't see the difference. We're pretty much the same as we were, but it was just that missed chance from Andy Carroll and them going up the other end and scoring, and it's very, very small margins in the Championship, I feel.
I remember
more so than the Premier League.
I remember when it was confirmed staying up. Plymouth away 2-2.
Yeah.
We were wearing Plymouth
Yeah.
socks. The kit man had got.
Yeah.
It was a clash of socks. We were wearing Plymouth socks. 2-2. Me and Chappie scored a goal.
Yeah.
Dan. It was a long journey back, but it was a happy journey back because we'd stayed up. But I want to ask you about pre-season. What was your thinking behind pre-seasons? The hardest pre-seasons I have ever had. He used to take us to a place in Austria, and it was just relentless. Up at 6 a.m, going for whatever it was, a 5k run, 3 sessions a day.
Yeah.
But it was. What you did there gave us the base for the season. It was horrible. I didn't enjoy it.
No.
But
no.
so what was you thinking behind those trips to Austria?
Well, first of all, I would go to Austria every year. Austria for me was fantastic. They had, as you saw, really good facilities. The ice bath was the river, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With the water coming off the Alps, it was just sensational. There was nothing to do, so the lads kind of couldn't go astray in any way.
Well, we had one night out with the guitar, didn't we?
Yeah, one night out, yeah, which was brilliant. And we had to sing song, and again, it's a bonding type thing rather than there's nightclubs all over the place. The food's good in Austria. They speak the language. They're well set up for training for pre-season. This was a place I'd already been to with David at Everton. We did Austria a few times, and so I would go there before any of the other training camps without any doubt. And the idea was we need a toughness. We need to know that we've got a resilience. That we need to. I know that there's all the sports science nowadays, but in the end, if there's 3 minutes to go and you need to make a long burst and run to either get up and support somebody to score, or a long burst and run to get back and stop somebody from scoring, you can't really check your heart rate monitor. You're gonna have to just dig deep. And the brilliant thing, and we used to film those, the horseshoe runs and things like that, and the bonding that the lads had, helping each other get through the really tough
The pain.
run.
The pain
Yeah,
you get.
What sort of stuff did Alan have you doing then, Mels? What was he?
Well, first of all, it was must have been a 5k run at 6 a.m. when everyone's half asleep. That was hard enough. Then there'd be a football session. Then there'd be some kind of football related and a bit of weights and all the core stuff. But it was tough. But it got us ready. I'll always remember the run. He took us to Blackpool Beach once. This was obviously not in Austria, and he dropped us off at whatever pier it was. I don't know, North Pier. And he's gone, right, you got to run to South Pier, and I wasn't very good at long distance running. I was more of a short stuff. Attacking players usually are. Yeah. And me and John Parky, looking at each other, thinking, don't fancy this. You know what I mean? and then the gaffer's gone, okay, well, I'm going to join you at some point to push. Yeah. To finish the run off, and we must have been running for about 2 minutes, and I couldn't see in the distance any of our midfielders. Or Chaplow had gone, McKenna had gone. I'm thinking, me and Parky are at the back thinking, we can't see anybody on this beach. They're that far ahead of us. So I know we're running is like 15-20 minutes. And next thing, the gaffer comes and joins us at the back, and I'm thinking, you start feeling a bit under pressure because you ended up joining us on that run, didn't you? Yeah. Thankfully, Parky just sort of got 10 yards behind you, and you had to push him
I had
through.
to look after him, But I was fortunate because I could still run.
You're better than me and Parky at running.
Well, I could still run. I mean, I did that at Everton as well. I remember kind of helping Joseph Yobo round and things like that. I mean, Joseph was, again, that explosive type of player, and I accept that. Not everybody can run distances. And I remember, with Parky, just saying to him, I don't care what time you come in, but I need to know that you've come in at the best time that you possibly can. So, it's then a case of how deep are you prepared to dig in order to kind of to achieve what we need you to achieve, And the fact is, the game demands a high level of fitness. So you're going to have to be able to do that.
We finished that run, and literally the lads had been waiting for 10 minutes for us to finish whatever, and then the gaffer's gone, right, we've got to do a fartlek back to where we've just come from. So me and Parky are dead on the beach thinking that's it done. We had to do a fartlek back. Yeah. Relentless. That was what pre-season was like. It was really tough. It's
not supposed to be loads of fun. It's supposed to get you ready in every way, and the physical side of it. I mean, I've got to be honest, there were things that I used to do that I did as a player. and I knew that they were tough. But it was, strangely, it was the same times. For all that we'll talk about the advancements and
Phil Neville runs. He brought Phil Neville runs into Preston as well. Because Phil Neville had been at Everton, and it was like this ridiculous fitness run.
And that was from England, actually. The run that I had from Phil was from England.
Neil Mellor scored. Preston take the lead, and that's exactly what it means to Neil Mellor to score in the West Lancashire derby.